We are here at the University of Miami in Florida, and at the Institute for Cuban and Cuban American Studies, and we are. This is an event hosted by the Language of Living Institute. I was very pleased yesterday to hear a briefing which included Mario. So what is your last name, Mario?
Mario Martínez.
Mario Martínez. He is one of the experts here on Cuba. And what caught my attention most is that he actually participated in the Bay of Pigs. And if you're not familiar with the Bay of Pigs invasion, that was an attempt to overthrow the Castro rule back in 1961.
1961, April 1961.
April 1961. So a very historic event. Mario here was explaining what goes on in Cuba these days. Now, let's get right to it. So, what is the state of Cuba these days that most people are perhaps unaware of?
Well, Cuba is a country that, for the international publicity, they say it's a communist country. In reality, it's also the dictatorship of a family that control everything. They control where you go, what you eat, who you talk to. They have what we call a committee house in every block.
What's a committee house?
Where it's a house where there are people from the government that are in charge of controlling everything that happens on the block, and that's in every block.
I was going to say is, yes, basically it's a fully totalitarian station. We also see that they are extremely sophisticated when it comes to spying.
They are one of the most sophisticated spying systems in the world. Like Jose was saying yesterday, and Melen Montes was feeding briefing to the President of the United States, and he was a spy.
So a Cuban spy was actually feeding policy briefs to the United States President.
So and you go to Venezuela now, and the security in Venezuela is controlled by Cubans. Right. So they had a lot of training from the Stasi and from the Russia Secret Service, and they invest a lot of money on it.
And one of the other important points too is that there doesn't seem to be progress, as we might hope, that even though Fidel Castro is nearing his final days, it seems very, he's sort of parting from the scene, that does not mean that things are changing.
Well, we hope that there will be changes, but it's very difficult. There is no internet in Cuba.
Right,
like 2%
internet use.
2%. They have very few telephones in Cuba. Like we consider that we have like 3,000 telephones in Cuba.
3,000
for the opposition. And so the other thing that we also say about is that every time that they want to cut the service to the telephone, they cut it. So every time there is something happening in Cuba, even the smallest things, you have 5 minutes to talk about it. After that, they disconnect that person. That person won't be able to talk for 2 or 3 days.
How do people get out these days? When we have at this event, we have exiles from Cuba. How do they get out?
Well, I think they want to portray that they are, they have a freedom society. So what they are doing right now, especially now, is the people that are complaining the most inside Cuba, they facilitate their exits. They go and say, would you like to go to the United States? And they facilitate, and I personally think that there is a combination with the Secret Service in Cuba, and maybe some people in the United States that want to get closer to Cuba.
Really? So right now, if you speak up, you can be exiled to America? Does that mean more people want to speak up?
Let's face it, like Daniel Yanis Contreras, she has 3 kids, all is small, and she was arrested 2 times a week, maybe 3
Arrested twice a week?
Yeah. Without any charges, without anything whatsoever. They just take it away for 24 hours because she was talking on the radio. Or they take it away from Havana, they take it away from another province without them having a way to come back to their place. So they disappear for a week and nobody knows where she is. One of the things that she came over here, she had a baby on her hand the last time she went to visit an opposition leader at the hospital.
Yes.
And they pushed her to the floor and with the gun, they bombed her ribs.
Sure.
But they also bombed her baby. Her baby got a bomb in the shin with a rifle. So people, it gets to a point that people, they want to get out because they cannot support that. And that's when the state goes and says, hey, you want to get out? We're going to be nice to you. They don't say it that way. They pretend that they are, but they let you out because they don't want the heavy opposition to be in Cuba. They rather
they would rather the opposition leave and live in Miami.
Exactly.
What do you say then to people like us who have not been to Cuba? One thing that I was thinking is just that any sort of freedom is so precious. Would you say that's the conclusion you have, or what?
Of course, the freedom is a precious thing that we many times take for granted. And when you don't have it, you don't know how to get it back. And that's what happened in Cuba. They have so much repression, so much terror. I was explaining to the group yesterday that at the beginning of the revolution, they implanted terror in the minds of every Cuban. They shot a lot of people, they killed a lot of people, and they put in the newspaper. They didn't hide to kill people. They put in the newspaper and the television, so everyone was looking at people being killed without trial, without jury, and everybody got the terror there. We say in Islam that every Cuban had a policeman on his back. Even when they come over here and you start talking to them, they look at the back and see if there is anybody close. Because they are so afraid of the political terror that is...
How do you say, though, what do you say, Mario, to people who, to this day, have a benign view of Fidel Castro?
Well, let me say this. I was in Castro's army for a year.
This man was in Castro's army for 8 years.
And
eight years? 1 year.
One year. And I resigned because from the inside, I saw one reason that they were doing. They were indoctrinating the army, and the first class they brought me to indoctrinate me, they start talking about things that were not true. So I raised my hand and say, excuse me, this happened and this happened and this happened. The person in charge of the army called me and said, Mario, you are too intelligent, you don't need to be there. So that's how they,
Right. You're too smart to be in the military?
No, too smart to be in that class of indoctrination. They didn't want me to expose the lies that they were saying to the people. So I said, Mario, don't go to there anymore. And it's all such a terror in every aspect of the human life. And we used to have a lot of food for the people. There was no necessity about food, and he destroyed that because he wanted people to think about getting the next meal rather than about getting freedom. And it has been very, very successful. The people in Cuba, instead of thinking of revolution and liberty, they think, well, whenever we want to change this regime, so we have food. When you talk about liberty, they are thinking about food.
Just give us
housing.
some food.
Yeah, and housing. There hasn't been in construction any house in Cuba for a long time. Your grandfather got a house, well, that house now is your father and your mother live in the same house, and if you marry, you have to live in the same house. So while there were 2 or 3 living there, 9 people living now, because the construction is slow.
We're going to have to end it then, Mario, but I appreciate being able to be here at the University of Miami and for this really insightful event. I hope that you have a positive impact on these new exiles and that you see success.
They have been subjected to a particular idea that the government wants to fit into their brains for 55 years. So what we're doing over here is trying to present a series of ideas so they can start...
To undoctrinate them? How do you say undoctrinate?
Right, you you want them
Disindoctrinate, de-indoctrinate.
you want to be exposed to different ideas.
Undo indoctrinate. Indoctrination.
Yeah.
So
These are people that were opposed to Castro. They were many times in prison, and sometimes you see that they still are afraid to talk to you. They sometimes have ideas that they were implanted, and it's difficult. But it's at the same time, it's not a problem, it's a challenge. Okay, so that's our challenge here at the Institute, our challenge at the Cuba Corps. Keep pushing forward until we pass away.
Mario,
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it.